In this episode, I will share a pretty intimate and personal story of how I found my first Japanese carpenter and why I decided to fire him a few weeks later. Please watch this video till the end. You'll be pleasantly surprised by the incredible progress we made in just a few weeks, thanks to working with skilled Japanese professionals who really knew their stuff. Konnichiwa minasan, Anton in Japan here. Welcome to Japan and Tokyo Renovation Diaries. Yes, you heard me right, but it wasn't an easy choice. Have you ever fired someone before? Have you ever done it in Japan? After about 2 months of renovation, demolition, and cleaning out my abandoned 86-year-old house in Tokyo, I found the termites, and I immediately understood that this is not a project I can take on my own. I'm not a pro in renovation, I'm just a Swedish model who ended up in Japan and buying and renovating old Japanese houses. Just getting the house to a skeleton jotai. Nothing inside, all the trash is gone, and we're ready to build the house up again. And I was consulting with my architect friends, and they told me, you need a pro for this. I knew it, I just didn't have budget for it. So I had to work harder on my modeling job and dedicate more money for the renovation to hire pros. As I've told you in previous videos as well, I've been working a lot with my local lumber. I've introduced them on Japanese TV. They've been really nice to me. They've been introducing me to great people. So I went to my local lumber and asked them, sorry, I'm on a tight budget. Do you have any carpenters who can help me exchange the beams in the ceiling and reinforce the house for earthquake safety? And they were thinking for about a minute. Renovation, this foreigner, he's doing a lot of crazy stuff. We know it. You should talk to this guy. I don't want to say his name. You'll know why in a second. He came by the same day with his wife. This was an 80-year-old, very nice man. I explained to him what I wanted to do. I want you to remove this pillar and I want you to replace the beams in the ceiling. He ordered material from me. I thought he knew what he was doing. I trusted this guy. Also, I didn't really have that much of a choice. I thought. He came with his wife, and as you see in these videos, he worked on just removing this pillar for 3 or 4 days. The floor joist here to the left when you enter the house. They took him about a day to put in there. But removing this pillar took him 3-4 days. And on top of this, he called in the shacho, the boss of the lumber, to put in the new huge beam in the ceiling. This beam up in the ceiling is made from American matsu, pine, and is incredibly heavy. It's actually not in the right spot right now. And when I'm looking at these pictures and videos, I feel a little bad for this old man and his wife. I asked him many times if he was okay and if he could do the job. And he said, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. But we just didn't move forward at all. He also told me that he didn't want me to run around in the house. So I had to be a little bit more hands-off, which I'm okay with. If I see that the work is moving forward, right? He said that the whole job was gonna take about 1 or 2 weeks, and after 3 weeks, it didn't really move forward at all. So I expressed my concern to the lumber. I was really nervous. This was all the money I had. I wanna finish my house. I wanna work on the house. I wanna be creative. And my lumber, he listened to me. Also, I think he knew that the carpenter he introduced to me wasn't really fit for the job. A lot of thinking, a lot of heavy lifting, and not your typical Japanese house renovation. This is the moment when the beam in the ceiling arrived, and one of the guys from the lumber came to help out to carry it up. And I think at this moment he understood that the carpenter he introduced to me wasn't really fit for my Sangenjaya house project. He first built this plateau we could stand on. Then he carved within the pillars a beautiful Japanese cut for this beam to fit inside. Then he was hitting it like this. But it just wouldn't fit. And it was hanging there in the ceiling for weeks. Pretty dangerous, I thought. And honestly, at this moment I was scared. Would I even finish this house? Would I even have the budget to finish this house? Would I even have the knowledge to finish it? Let me work. Let me learn. I reached out to the lumber again with my concerns. I biked there. I gave them like an omiyage. Thank you so much for introducing me to this old man. But I'm not sure he's doing a good job. So I was out running in Nakameguro And about 8:30 in the morning, the shacho called me a few days later. Konnichiwa, Anton. Are you at home? I'm out running, but I'll be home in about 30 minutes. Okay, I have a special deal for you. 2 younger carpenters, Japanese. They're really good. With their boss, Kaneko-san, he's gonna come by your house right now. Be home in 20 minutes. I ran home the fastest I could. And when I arrived here, both the older carpenter and the younger guys were here. You see it here in the video. I didn't know what this was, you know. I was so nervous. This was my life. This was all my money. This was my project. And the young carpenters, I learned this later on, they didn't speak much. It was only their boss, Kaneko-san. Thank you so much. You really saved me, Kaneko. He was talking to this old guy and kind of explaining to him, don't touch anything, it's dangerous, you're old, you shouldn't be doing this. And then they let him go. And then we worked out a deal that these 2 guys, they were gonna work in my house for about 3 weeks. Do all the earthquake safety, exchange the walls, exchange the termite-eaten beams. Apparently there were some termite-eaten beams within the walls and behind the kitchen, and some of them had been termite-eaten and fixed 30-40 years ago. So let's say there is one big beam in the walls here, and they changed the lower part of it with like beautiful Japanese joints, and that was changed 30-40 years ago, they explained to me. So they came here with the shacho from the lumber, who really has my back every time. Thank you so much. And we sent the old guy home. I'm sorry, this is not working. And I felt a little bad in my heart. The guy, he told me that he thought he was gonna charge me for his work together with his wife. And they've been there for 3 weeks, not even moving forward. So they were also really worried for my sake, which I'm quite happy about. I didn't think anyone had my back at that point. Kaneko is the boss, and then Kazuki and Fukamizu, they're the younger carpenters. They exchanged all the pillars. They did all the earthquake safety in like 3 days. And my budget said I could hire them for about 15 days. A carpenter in Japan or in Tokyo charges about 23,000 or 25,000 yen per day, which is about 180 bucks. Kazuki and Fukamizu-san, so good. Beautiful cuts they make in the wood. I've never seen anything like it. You'll see in a few videos. And the pillar, the older carpenter tried to exchange for about 3 days. They did it in 30 minutes. They knew what they were doing. They're young, they're strong, they have the vision there, and they're hard workers. They also told me to stay away for the first week while they're doing their job. They don't want a young Swedish model running around there doing his DIY stuff. But they also had to redo all the floor that the other guy did, because they thought he did a terrible job. What a relief. I finally found some good carpenters. But I couldn't really do any woodwork for the first 2 weeks. And my main job became to clean the house and take care of the trash. So I went to the junkyard a few days a week. This is the last sight I saw of the big beam in the ceiling. Sayonara. Kaneko-san also sold me a concrete slab under the entire house, and Masuda-san, a famous Sakanya-san, came to pour concrete under my entire house. The difficult thing with this is, as I've explained in previous videos, is that my road is tiny, and in order to park a concrete car that can mix concrete outside, they needed permission from Setagayaku, from Tokyo, and they also need to hire a guardman. You know, if you've been to Tokyo, you've seen these guys like waving with these and you don't really know what they're doing, but they're there to protect the constructions, right? We didn't want to wait, and we decided to carry all these tons of gravel, sand, and cement to mix the gravel, and we mixed it inside of the house. By putting in this concrete slab, it obviously meant that all the work me and Nico did a few weeks earlier was for nothing. I mean, obviously, we learned something. And they could also use the gravel we put in here. But all the work we did, not really efficient. What they do is they put about 10 centimeters of gravel, rebar, and then chemical, chemical screws within the
within the foundation of the house.
A kind of anchor bolt. And here you see the rebar sticking out. About 10 centimeters thick in total. So when they put in the concrete slab under the house, they obviously have a lot of material they bought, like the blue insulation and the wood up there. So they built this shelf just to load it up. Pretty smart, I think. No space in Japan.
What are you talking about? The whole house stands on a plate instead of just standing on dirt. It makes the house more sturdy for earthquakes, and also termites won't enter the house. After about a week when they were working there, I joined them to finish the floor joists and various other smaller projects. This was how I got to know Kazuki, that you will see a lot later on in this series. We built the staircase of my Sangenjaya house. He basically begged me, please Anton, can I please build your staircase? The carpenter I fired, the old man, he also ordered wrong material for the house. I didn't need such huge beams in the ceiling. And the floor joists should have been a different material that's more sturdy and more accurate for the climate of Japan. So I'm happy I fired that guy, and I'm happy that the lumber helped me. And I'm also incredibly grateful for Kazuki, my best friend within the building industry here in Japan. He helped me learn about Japanese carpentry, history, doing Japanese like wooden cuts, how to take care of your tools in a very beautiful way. And when his 3 weeks of working in my Sangenjaya house was done, he begged me, asked me if we could build the staircase together. I've explained before that Japan doesn't really have a renovation culture, and they tear older houses down, build something brand new. And when they build something brand new, they usually have a specialist, company specialized in making staircases, for example. You just tell them the measurements, how you want it to be, and they come. Boom, you just install it in a day. Now all the earthquake safety, all the crucial earthquake safety was done. I knew how the staircase could be. Kazuki and I did this together, despite people around us told us, no, you shouldn't use you shouldn't use raw wood when building a staircase. But I'm incredibly happy I did. Can't imagine how relieved I was when firing the old guy and these pros came in to help me with my baby Sangenjaya house. Be honest, curious, trust your guts, ask questions, and you'll move forward. You will finish your house. I might sound like an asshole if you just read the title. I know for a fact that I did the right thing of firing the first guy. I got to know Kazuki, Kaneko, Fukamizu. They did a great job. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. This is Tokyo Renovation Diaries.